This is the 2018 Mercedes-AMG E63 Wagon. Now, it may not look like much from the outside, but this thing is packing over 600 horsepower. It can outrun an Audi R8 V10 from 0 to 100, and it costs nearly $120,000. But who's going to spend six figures on a station wagon? Well, that's what we're here to find out. Let's go for a spin. There really is no better example of a wolf in sheep's clothing than this E63 Wagon. It doesn't scream performance. It doesn't have any fancy stripes or oversized spoiler. It's rather a sleeper car, to be honest. I still have a hard time telling the difference between a regular C-Class and an E-Class from afar. In fact, the only things that give this E63 AMG wagon away are those quad pipe exhausts, those nice hood creases over the front hood, and those large air inlets. And of course, there's the badging. You get the side badging, the 4MATIC Plus, and you have an AMG badge out back. So you see, the last E63 had a 5.5 liter V8. Now that was a good, powerful engine. It was hand built like all of AMG's engines. But now you actually have a smaller displacement engine underneath this front hood. You have a 4-liter twin turbo V8. But this thing specifically pushes out 603 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque. That's insane. 0 to 100, 3.5 seconds. That's faster than, well, that's nearly as fast as a 911 GT3. Let me show you what that feels like. I downshift a few gears and hold it. 603 horsepower, that's almost impossible to comprehend. You're looking at more power than a Porsche Panamera Turbo. That's more power than a BMW M760 Li. And that has a V12 engine. And the only car really in this price range that comes even close and actually goes above and beyond is the Cadillac CTS V, and that thing pushes out 640 horsepower. But it doesn't feel as quick as this. So that V8 engine is the real star of the show here. That V8, it sings, it bellows, and it gets up to speed so effortlessly. And the key word here is linearly. Now, usually with turbocharged engines, you floor the throttle, and you wait a little bit, for the turbos to spool, and then you get this huge surge of power that, frankly speaking, is quite unpredictable sometimes. But with this engine, it's so smooth, so linear. You push on the throttle and gradually builds up speed. It makes it so easy to drive because you know exactly when the power is coming, when it's going to be there, and how much you're actually going to get. But the good thing is you're never overburdened by that power. You know it's there, and it's really easy to finesse around it and cruise around town, whether you're in comfort mode or sport mode. You can drive slowly and have a good time. It's comfortable. You'll never feel like there's so much power that you're not using. It just feels like a regular E-Class sedan. But really, when you want to get on it, it's there. It's always there. It's just hanging around in the closet, and you just have to knock on the door, and once it's there, it'll open up, and bam, you're gone. That 9-speed sends power to all four corners via Mercedes' 4MATIC Plus all-wheel drive system. What that is, it's just a fancy term for four-wheel drive. Now, what the last E63 had, it did have all-wheel drive, but it was a permanent split. Now, what that means is it's permanently sending 33% of the horsepower and torque to the front wheels, and it's sending 67% to the rear. Now, that gives it a rear-wheel bias, giving you nice, uncorrupted steering, but it never felt like a rear-wheel drive wagon that I guess we all wanted since the CTS V wagon. But with the new 4MATIC Plus system, it's all variable. The torque distribution is all over the place. It goes left, right, up, down. You can actually send 100% of the power just to the rear wheels. That's I guess you could call it drift mode, kind of like the Focus RS. One of the only downsides of this ride is that it's a little on the firm side. Now, what I mean by that is, even in comfort mode, I'm driving around on this fairly uneven road. I shouldn't feel so many of the bumps. Now, I know the bumps are always going to be there, but this air suspension should be able to soak it up a little bit more, just so that only when I'm focusing on the road will I notice it's there. But here, I constantly feel it. Like, it's reverberating into the seat, and it's hard not to ignore it. On the flip side, when you're trying to drive fast and spiritedly, this air suspension is very good. It really tightens up. It drives like a much smaller wagon. And it becomes a really nice dancing partner when you're trying to fling it around bends and around corners. Just ask it nicely and it will do what you want. The exhaust is what puts the cherry on top of this car. That exhaust sounds wicked. But you can actually, there's a little button right here where you can turn it off and on. So if you want to be polite and, go home and don't want to wake the neighbors, simply flip the exhaust button off and they won't hear a thing. But turn it back on and you have one of the best V8 soundtracks on this road. I drove the new BMW M5. That has a nice 4.4 liter V8 with a nice exhaust system as well. But a lot of people like to compare and ask me which one sounds better. And to be honest with you, they sound fairly similar. The AMG has a little bit of a more deeper guttural growl to it. It has a little more American muscle than European muscle. Whereas the BMW, it sounds perhaps a little more synthesized. You notice some of it coming through the speaker. Now, what I love most about the E63, I think, is the duality of how it offers comfort and performance, and on top of that, luxury too. So I'm sitting here in comfort mode. I have my heated seats on. I'm currently getting a massage. Cabin insulation is great. Okay, well, the exhaust is on, so it was a bit loud, but turn it off and it's quite quiet in here. You hear a bit of that tire noise. I think that's just the winter tires that we still have loaded on this car. But it's a great long distance cruiser. I would not mind driving 5-6 hours in this car straight. Now, the interior of the E63 Wagon it's a really nice place to spend time in. First, the steering wheel. I love it. The paddles feel expensive, and there's this dual tone. There's leather on the top, Alcantara on the side. It feels really good. Second, the switchgear. The switchgear around here feels incredibly expensive, and no wonder. You get the same stuff in your S-Class and even higher up. The next thing I want to bring to your attention is the widescreen display. This looks really good. Now, it looks like two different screens, but it's actually it's actually just one panel that encapsulates the driver's gauges and the infotainment. Now, the driver's gauges, you can adjust it in many different ways. You can have sport mode, classic mode. It's all just so customizable. You can put your maps up there on the right. You can have your gauges in the middle, a speedometer. Same goes for the head-up display. Now, the ambient lighting is really beautiful. You can actually scroll through and customize your ambient lighting, but it's not just your typical red, white, blue, yellow. This one actually has some neat features. Let me show you here. Not only do you get simple colors, but you also get a multicolor animation is what they call it. So you can have red moon, you can have fire red, dawn blue, and you can adjust the intensity of these lights to actually shine and actually move along the cabin. And it's really cool because at night it really accentuates the curves along the dashboard, making the E-Class seem wider than it really is, making the cabin actually feel really, really big. A few downsides. This E-Class is not perfect by all means, and it really starts with the infotainment system that really gets you a little confused. There's a bit of a learning curve that goes with this thing. It's not as simple as just hitting a few buttons, but there's so many menus and sub-menus, and not having a touch screen doesn't really help either. You can't touch and go where you want. So for example, to get to the massaging seats, to get them to turn on, what you gotta do, you have to find the menu, great, select vehicle. Now you have to scroll all the way to seats. Now you have to choose driver seat, passenger seat. You have to figure out who you want. Let's say, so that's me. Scroll down to massage. Now you have to choose which massage you want. Do I want hot relaxing back massage? Do I want activating massage? Or classic massage? I don't even know what that means. But now you have to hit it, now it turns on. So it's not as easy as simply pushing a button. You actually have to work a little bit to get where you want. Other few downsides, there's no heated steering wheel. Now, in Canada, this is almost a must. When a Ford Escape, when many other cars have it and comes standard or optional, having a $120,000 car not have heated steering wheel is a bit of a letdown. That and the gear shifter stock and the signal stock, they feel a little cheap. They don't feel that great to move. So this is a wagon, first and foremost. So space, passenger space, cargo space, it's all gonna be of really big importance to these kinds of buyers. Now, I'm sitting here right behind myself. I stand around 6 feet tall. I have a good amount of knee room still, some extra left. Got a good amount of headroom. I could sit here for a good long road trip and not have any complaints. So the E63 Wagon is an interesting prospect to buyers. On the one hand, you have the cargo space of a mid-sized SUV. You can fit 4 of your friends in there, all their luggage, head down south for a road trip. But on the other hand, you have front row seats to one of the best V8 soundtracks on this road, and it accelerates faster than a handful of supercars. That makes it a real, how do you say it, an iron fist in a velvet glove. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't have my E-Class any other way. I'm Calvin Chan with Canadian Auto Review. Thanks for watching.